my beautiful badass women out there. Thank you so much for tuning in on another week on the Powerhouse. And this week, I want to talk to you about a topic that, like no surprise, that I personally struggled with for many years in corporate. And that is to get my employees to stop fucking asking me and just start presenting solutions. So I like to call this just fucking Google it already. So I want to ask each of you out there watching or listening today, how many times has an employee of yours throughout your career came to you and asked you what you thought was just a really stupid question? Like you're in your mind, you're like, oh my gosh, have I hired like the most incompetent people on this planet? Like, duh, like it's just so easy, right? Like, how can they not know this? And while I'm not saying that the chances are you may have actually hired someone, the wrong talent in the wrong position, one thing that I discovered throughout my corporate career is that I was actually the problem. So I want to show you today 3 steps of commanding, demanding, and landing your power on what you can do to have your employees to start actually presenting you solutions. This is how you're going to be able to take control of your calendar, to set and hold boundaries, to have a team that's absolutely crushing it, to have a method to, I don't know, you can actually take a vacation and have your team run itself and not come back to a shit show or your 5,000 emails that you must go through each and every one. Because if you have a team in place today as the powerful, badass executive that you are, and they are not producing at the top of their game, my friend, I'm sorry, that is on you. So the very first step is commanding our power, and that is our mindset. So I remember really struggling with this whenever I was brought into an organization that was an absolute mess. This organization had been operating in startup mode for years, even though that they were a huge global organization. And I remember just coming in and having to hit the ground running so fast, producing and phenomenal results and just a fucking mountain of work. And I realized very quickly that this was going to be really challenging to pull off. And I wasn't sure that I could do it with the team that I had in place. So what I discovered through actually a coach that called me out on this, that I had that at the time, I remember bitching to her and being like, oh my God, I'm surrounded by incompetent people. I need to fire the entire team and just start over. And there were times in my career that I did just that. But I remember that day, her telling me, Brittany, you are the problem. And I was immediately pretty pissed off, to be honest. I'm like, what the fuck do you mean I'm the problem? I'm not the problem. I know how to do this. I know how to go in here and absolutely crush it. These people are just fucking stupid. Like that was in the heat of the moment, the emotional reaction that I had. And then she started to really force me to sit and think about this whole concept. And the way that she did that is she asked me, Brittany, go back and recall any time throughout your life, personally and professionally, how many people have you truly interacted with that you felt like you didn't need to explain the who, what, when, where, and why behind any decision? It doesn't matter if it was a small decision in the personal life, a huge decision, no matter what it was, just try to recall one person in your life that you felt like you did not have to ad nauseum explain something to. And I really sat in that. I forced myself to open my mind, get rid of my judgment, quit being in the asshole that I was being. And I discovered legitimately one person in my entire life. And so then that caused me to doubt myself even more. Like, oh my God, well, if it's just one person, like I'm the common denominator. And instead of forcing me to really erase that from my mind, she said, absolutely, you are the common denominator. And then she explained to me why. And it was even in that moment that it felt even more uncomfortable and even cringeworthy. She told me these words verbatim. She said, Brittany, you are fucking brilliant and you don't even know it. And I thought about that, and I never really considered myself brilliant. right? That's just who I was. Like, I could always see how all these people in my life I thought that were smarter than me, that I could, aspire to be. Always, I never thought I was exceptionally brilliant. And the more that I sat in that, and the more that I understood that maybe that is the case, that is when everything really opened up. And I did this through many ways of just understanding how quickly my brain worked. So, what made me very unique and what makes me very resilient is that when presented with problems, I immediately know a solution and I don't even know why. And I certainly don't understand all of the steps to get there. I just know this is the end result. Of course, this is what we need to do. And I make those decisions on autopilot. And I discovered most people can't do this. So for all of those listening right now that saying, man, she's fucking arrogant, that sounds really cocky. Yeah, maybe it is. But what I will tell you is once I was able to understand that, that did not mean that I am saying I'm better than anyone else. Because while that can be my insane superpower, it can also be my greatest weakness. And that is what I discovered is why I was not dominating in my career. It is something that I struggle with every single day and running my business as well, is that because I think so quickly, because my brain processes this information, I am your typical high achiever, working insane amount of hours because I love what I do, and constantly a curious nature of what can I do next? What can I do better? How can I take this baby result and blow it out of the water? And that is because if I'm operating like that, I cannot force myself to really slow down and explain the who, what, when, where, and why. And that is what causes me at times to make really impulsive business decisions, to make decisions that don't make sense, right? Because you do sometimes have to just take a beat, take a moment, and really examine it. And so this is something that really helped me understand how this incredible strength of mine, one, was causing me so much frustration because everyone around me didn't have that same strength. But then two, how I can use this strength and absolutely use other people's strengths to complement mine so we can make better decisions in corporate. Those 16 years that I was right there in the trenches with each one of you. For those of you that are building businesses, this is what has been monumental to the baby success that I've had so far as a very new entrepreneur, and I know will serve me well throughout my path of continuing to build this business. And that is everyone else that's around me that can't think like that's not their MO. That is what allows me to have that check and balance that I truly need. So wrap your mind around the fact that chances are you're unique. Chances are you're pretty fucking brilliant. Chances are you have something that no one around you has. And that is okay. And there's nothing arrogant or cocky about that. Embrace it, accept it. And then once you do that, what you want to do is, thus as women, is you want people to start owning their superpower in the exact same way. And this is where I get to my whole idea of demanding our power, which is the how-to of just fucking Google it already. So another dark side to the strength that we have is 9 times out of 10, the people that you are surrounded by in your personal and professional life likely come to you a lot for your advice. And the reason that they do that is they actually see how brilliant you are. You know what took us forever, for years, and to really understand and wrap our minds around, yeah, I'm pretty damn good at what I do. A lot of people come to us because we know the answers, because we can give them in just a knee-jerk reaction. Yes, do this, this, and this. This is how you get XYZ result. The challenge with that is, one, us as women, we really want to help. We really want to serve. We really want to give back. And while there be nothing wrong with that, what it is if you overutilize that, right? That very quick way to give somebody what they need and allow them to move on is you don't teach them to think for themselves. So I'm guessing that if you're listening or you're watching this footage, is that most of your employees probably come to you on a daily basis on how to do something, how to pull something off, and you're likely giving them that quick answer, right? It feels good. You can help somebody. They get what they need. They move on. And there is a very high short-term ROI on that behavior, but it will absolutely cripple you long-term, okay? It will make sure that there is no way in hell that you can take on new initiatives at work. This is what will ensure you cannot go on vacation for any length of time without getting constant calls, constant text messages on how to do something. So what I want to challenge each of you to do is this actual how-to. You've commanded your power. You're one brilliant badass. You know that, but then you're also very self-aware of the weakness and why this has caused you to not dominate in your career. Is then I want you to start going back to the basics with your employees. So any of us that have been involved in any type of adult learning theory, you know that how we learn is by watching, doing, and then teaching. So the very next time someone comes to you, an employee on your team comes to you with a question, and your immediate gut reaction is, what a fucking idiot, right? We're working on that with commanding our power, right? But I want you to, instead of giving them the Cliff Notes answer, I want you to ask them, what do you think the answer is? And when they say, I don't know, you legitimately have them watch you. If you're online, share your screen. If you're in person, open your phone. Legitimately Google the fucking answer. This seems so trivial. It seems so stupid, but I promise you, this is game changing. Because think of anything in your life that you didn't know how to do. Chances are you didn't ask anyone. You went and figured that shit out yourself, and you did that through research. And the beauty of living and working in this day and age of the technology that we have is any answer that you want is literally one Google search away, right? Type in, right? How do we accomplish XYZ KPI, right? What is the best marketing trend right now that's resonating amongst XYZ followers, right? No matter what it is, I promise you, if you Google it, it will be the breadcrumbs that you need to actually pull it off. And your employees need to, one, watch you do this, okay? Absolutely watch you do just that and how you formulate your answers. Then after you start doing this, the next thing that you need to do is then when they ask you again, then you say, hey, I want you to use that same strategy that we used last time when you saw me Google this shit and actually form a hypothesis to throw a dart. I want you to do the same. So then you actually allow them to drive. So if you're online, you ask them to share their screen on Zoom, and you actually talk them through driving how to get to that answer. So if they're typing into the search bar how to do XYZ and the first 3-4 articles don't return the answer, then you ask them, well, what else can we Google to get a more definitive answer? And you have them type it in. And you continue this over and over and over. And then in time, what you do when they inevitably come back, because change, transformation takes time. It's hard. We like to fall back on the easy, the get, the answer quick. And when they come back, then you say, hey, we're going to pretend today that I'm actually asking you the same question you asked me. And I want you to teach me how I can get this answer myself, right? And legitimately, again, if you're online, you share your screen and you do not click next. You do not type in any word without them telling you what to do. They're legitimately teaching you how to get the answer themselves. This is what allows your employee to watch, do, then teach. This is what will be embedded and allow them to thrive. This is what's going to allow them to make decisions that you need them to make and to not come to you for every little thing. This, my friend, is how you get to the final step in the PowHER formula for success, and that is landing your power. This is exactly how you are building succession planning. So you say you want to move on, you want to move into a board position, you want to move into the CEO, you want to get promoted to a VP, no matter where it is. I promise you, you're not going to be able to do that till you have somebody ready to take your job. So if you have created a team that's 100% reliant on you, how are you going to be able to take on anything else and not have the business fail? You cannot. If you are building a business and someone's constantly needing your help on everything, how are you going to, I don't know, hire more people in for them to manage so you can concentrate more on being the face of your business, of staying behind a camera of your business is what you should do as the founder, as the CEO. This is how you will crush it on every single KPI that you've set out with your team, because essentially your team can operate without you. And that is what powerful leadership is all about. That is what building a legacy is all about, because so many of us as women in the business world, whether you're in corporate, you're building your own business, no matter what it is you're doing, you chose to take this very challenging uphill battle path of dominating in a predominantly white man's world in business. And one major reason you want to do that is to allow other women to do the same. So if you're not teaching her how to do this without you, you're doing her a major disservice, not only to yourself, but this is what's ensuring she's never going to make it. She's never going to shatter her own glass ceiling. She's never going to get to this table with you and help you build inclusivity, help you design workplace policies and process that enable everyone from all walks of life to thrive, no matter what obstacle is in their way that society says, you can't do this because you don't fit neatly into this box. You want to give them what they need to do just what you've done. And that is giving society the finger and climbing this very corporate patriarchal dad's ladder your own way, on your own terms, to build a career that brings you joy, that brings you meaning and more money than you ever thought possible. So take these 3 steps centered around, just fucking Google it already, and teach your team how they can dominate, whether you're in the room, a phone call away, or completely on the other side of the country, because that is what you need to do exactly what you want to do. And that is to dominate like the badass that you are.